So my name is Lise Hoy. My title is Senior Lecturer of French, and the course we're talking about is French 102, Beginning French 2. So Beginning French 2, so it's a continuation of an introduction to French. The course is both based on communicative methods, and it's also content-based. So we teach the 4 different skill areas of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then also the course seeks to help students acquire cultural competency. And that's sort of where the content-based piece comes in. The course seeks to build students' linguistic proficiency and simultaneously introduce them to French culture, various Francophone cultures, and also help students to understand the ways in which culture and language maintain a reciprocal relationship with each other. So that content-based piece involves giving students authentic materials to consider, whether through video or film, or literature, or various kinds of texts, articles, for example, and then helping them learn grammar and vocabulary in context with that cultural base. The course is very interactive. There's a lot of group work, partner work. Also, many times when we come together as a whole group. So each class session really is a back and forth between maybe 2 students talking to each other, a group of 4 talking to each other, with some sort of task-based project. And then sometimes all of us together. The language classes are pretty small, usually somewhere around 20 students, give or take. And so that allows for a lot of back and forth in terms of how students are doing that work. And then in terms of assessment, assessment seeks to cover all those different bases that I was talking about in terms of linguistic proficiency and cultural competence. Assessment also seeks to appeal to different learner styles and take into account different learner styles. So there's written work, quizzes, tests, but also oral assessment, oral exams. I call them euphemistically oral activities. It sounds a little less intimidating for students. Very often those oral assessments are also things that students do with partners. There's a constant attention to using language in context, and on that communicative piece, which communicative language teaching really seeks to encourage students to create meaning and assure that they're being understood, so there's really a focus on the exchange of meaning, not just repetition and drills and memorizing. Right, everything sort of comes together in that way. There's not really a lot of lecturing that goes on. Sometimes I'm standing up in front of the room talking, obviously, but there's a constant back and forth and checking of what students are understanding and asking them to respond. So I think the key piece again, is that sort of engagement between people. Language is a living thing, so there's that piece. Also, in the classroom, I try to pay a lot of attention to showing students other opportunities besides just learning French, how to speak French, read, write it, and understand it. Talk about opportunities to use French either professionally or study abroad, for example. So oftentimes I will present to students what different opportunities are for study abroad in various places in France, but also in other parts of the world. In North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, there are opportunities. And frequently at that beginning level, it's a time to also show students the connections they can make between the learning and the critical thinking that they're engaging in a language classroom, how they can apply that to other classes that they're in. So I try to treat it as a interdisciplinary venture. We have a lot of fun. Come take French.